Hey everybody, well, Luna's done a crazy 300x over the past 48 hours. Now, full disclosure, I put in a small amount near the bottom, took out my principal fairly quickly, and have been riding the wave risk-free. Now, I want to talk about why we knew Luna had pretty much bottomed out. This was the only good time to buy in from a risk-reward point of view. Otherwise, you might have been catching a never-ending falling knife. Now, I want to talk about what's affecting the ongoing price volatility and the current risks for those trading Luna, and whether it's still worth jumping into the party if you haven't yet, and when to take profits if you're already in. Now, if you find this interesting, please drop a like. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. Let's dive in. Alright, so if you're a little bit behind on what's going on, we saw a major bank run on the UST stablecoin about a week ago, which then saw an ever-increasing amount of Luna tokens being minted in an effort to stem the bleeding and try and repeg UST against the dollar. Over 3 to 4 days, the Luna circulating supply inflated from about 300 million tokens to over 6 trillion tokens, right? There's now 20,000 times more Luna than a week ago. So as a result, the price of Luna tanked from $80 down to almost zero, right? Just an absolute disaster for Luna holders and also those saving UST on Anchor. So we saw a top 10 cryptocurrency, a very important one as well, our most promising decentralized stablecoin, very, very important for the crypto space, get destroyed essentially overnight, which also helped bring down the broader market as UST was being collateralized by Bitcoin. And all of this also coincided with the NASDAQ dumping massively after the last FOMC meeting. So overall, this was just an absolutely notorious week for the crypto space. Lots of people got absolutely wrecked. Especially those who held most of their worth in Luna or a lot of UST being staked on Anchor. Very, very sad stuff. What happened this week is on the caliber of disasters that could kick off a real crypto winter, just like the hack and collapse of Mt. Gox towards the end of the 2011 and 14 bull runs. Anyway, back to Luna. Now, anyone who bought on the way down here was catching a very fast falling, very sharp knife. There is a fellow YouTuber who put in over $1 million on the way down here, and it's now worth barely $1,000, right? Crazy motherfucker. Now, while the inflation supply kept exploding, there was no good reason to buy Luna, right? To put it another way, you have to wait until those insane emissions were halted, right? Buy-side pressure for Luna simply could not overpower the rate at which Luna had to algorithmically inflate in order to try and repeg a stablecoin that disenfranchised holders were selling by the billions to try and get out of. If I really wanted to get some Luna, right, gamble a little bit, I really got to wait for that signal that either the UST repeg was fairly close by or that the Luna tap was going to be shut off by the Terra team in some sort of an emergency update. And look, that's what happened on Friday, right? The blockchain was stopped and plans were being actively put in place to arrest that crazy emission rate, as it was becoming more and more apparent that Luna and UST in their current form were no longer able to be saved. And so when the chain was restarted, I put in a small amount of money down here because I thought there was a good chance we were at a real bottom. The idea now was Luna was suddenly, after all that inflation and price dumping, it was suddenly a small cap token with a fixed supply, yet it had the publicity of a top 5 cryptocurrency, right? Everyone's eyes were on Luna after what happened, both inside crypto and also now in traditional finance, right? So when you unleash a gem like this into the market after all that's happened, the chances of a large and violent pump were quite good, right? Everyone was going to fight for a piece of this. Now, if you got in near the bottom here, you were rewarded with a quick 10 to 30x within 2 hours. Just insane. Now, I took out my principal fairly early. I have a general rule of taking out my principal after the price doubles. In hindsight, I wish I didn't here, but that's okay. And now Luna's up a major 300x after 48 hours. Now, it would have been hard to get in at the exact bottom, right, when the blocks resumed production. A lot of people took a position shortly after the Twitter notification, and if that's the case, you'd probably be up around 50x by now. Now, if you want to get in on the action, I'll talk about risks shortly. 2 major places with deep liquidity include the Luna Binance USD pair on Binance and the Luna Tether pair on FTX. Now, if you want to sign up to either Binance or FTX, I've got links down below where you can get a permanent 5% off your trading fees. Now, what's interesting is that for a period of time, a couple of days ago, when the Terra chain kept switching on and off, which was around here, there was a substantial difference in the Luna price between the different exchanges, right, which provided some insane arbitrage opportunities. Now, I posted about this on Twitter at the time, as I had positions on both exchanges, and noticed that the fairly big price differential. And it was interesting that it took quite a bit of time for the price gap to close between the different exchanges. So I thought a lot of traders maybe took advantage of this opportunity and made some money. Personally, I didn't do this play because I thought it was a bit too risky moving tokens between FTX and Binance, for instance, when the prices were so volatile. Okay, risks. Now, when it comes to general risks right now, buying and trading Luna, I just want to stress that a lot of the volatility comes from spontaneous news events concerning the future direction of the Terra blockchain. Now, Twitter's the place to be for that, and you really need to stay up to date if you want to have a position in Luna, so you know when to enter and exit. Now, important accounts to follow include Terra Money, which announces any plans to stop the blockchain, change the underlying protocol, and so on. I strongly suggest turning on the notification bell if you want to trade Luna. You also want to follow good old Do Kwon. His posts often result in immediate large pumps or dumps, understandably. And a couple of smaller players, such as, for example, Sablechen, okay, William. Now, he's a well-known Terra developer that's in the loop with a lot of the inside discussions that's frantically taking place at the moment. And honestly, he's been posting more frequently than Do Kwon and the official Terra accounts. So he's been giving the community kind of like a heads up on where things might be going for the embattled layer 1. Now, at the moment, Do Kwon is floating an idea to essentially reboot the Terra blockchain and redistribute the Luna tokens according to some fixed splits. Now, we don't quite yet understand how this is going to affect those who bought Luna after the USDT depeg, especially those who bought on exchange. So just be aware of that risk. To be a bit more specific, if you buy a lot of Luna right now, it could dump because of sudden protocol changes. For example, the latest proposal going through and they decide to screw everyone who bought Luna after the depeg in the past few days. It could also dump because Luna is already up 100x and the market cap is back into the billions and we're past the point of peak FOMO perhaps. Or it could pump for a while longer because tons of people were trying to make a quick buck out of the current situation and many have already. We'll just have to see. Now, personally, I've already cashed out most of my positions just to be a bit safe. I've left some in there as well, so whichever way this goes, I won't have regrets. I'd love to know what you're doing though. All right, let's leave it there. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter to stay up to date with what's going on. Let me know if you like these short updates as well. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.